When we talk about using consciousness to manifest your reality into existence, what are we really talking about here? Are we talking about using your consciousness? Can we even call it your consciousness? Can you claim ownership over this thing that you seem to be conscious of? The fact that you're conscious? Can you claim ownership over that? And how can we use this thing, whether it's ours or not, to manifest more things into our life? To create the life that we really desire? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to use consciousness to manifest anything you want into existence. How to use this thing that we call consciousness, how to tap into consciousness and allow it to manifest for you. And this is law of attraction at a whole new level entirely. It's still law of attraction, but we're bringing it together with something that is all within us, that we all can access so that we can create the life that we want in a much faster way. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. I do have a group program coming up in the next couple of months as well, probably like within the next 60 days. So if you do want to be a part of the program, and if you want more details on the program, the link will be in the description box of this video as well. Enrollment is closing soon, so if you want to be a part of it, definitely check out the link that's in the description box. So how can we use consciousness to manifest our life? Well, the first thing I want you to understand is that you literally can manifest everything that you want. And this might sound super cliche, but I want you to understand that I had an insight recently where I realized that everything does exist. And what does that mean? Have I grasped this insight fully? Absolutely not. But what I could sense at a deeper state of consciousness that I was at is that what we can do is have an awareness, first of all, that anything that exists within consciousness that you can think about exists. Because if it exists in your thoughts, that means it exists in consciousness. Like if you're conscious of something in your energy field, it can grow. It can become more powerful. It's not just limited to the form that it's at when you think about it. That formation that's in your mind is something that can expand. It's something that can grow. Because what you focus on actually grows. So you can manifest whatever you want. And sometimes it might not even be something that you want. It's something that consciousness wants to manifest through you. And so this is what we're going to be talking about this video, as how to bring together your human desires with the desire of consciousness, the desire of the universe, so to speak. Some people might say that it's the will of God. Some people might say that it's the universe manifesting. Now, whatever word you want to use, but we're talking about the creator here. We're talking about how to use the creation, the infinite intelligence that created your body, that brings the sun up every single morning, that pumps your heart, that allows you to breathe automatically without you controlling it. Sure, you can control your breath if you want, but the breath is one of those things that whether you control it or not, it's happening. It's a happening. It's not a doing, it's a happening. And this happening is something you can tap into to create your reality. So the first step sounds a little bit cliche, but it is the case that I want you to open your experience up, open yourself up to the fact that you can directly get an insight that all things exist. Just open yourself up to that. You don't have to get it right now. You don't need to like fully I don't even fully understand it to some degree, right? So I'm still learning just like you are, but what I do know is that I can sense in my intuition, and I've also sensed that even to some degree logically, but my mind can't grasp this insight, the fact that everything exists. Like, how can it not exist if you're able to think about it? Like, everything you see in your reality is literally something that somebody thought of. Like the phone you see, if you're watching this on a phone or a computer or a house or a light or a chair, whatever it is, think about the fact that somebody, it popped up in somebody's consciousness first. Now here's the question. The question is, who thought the original thought? Can a person claim ownership over that thought that they had before it manifested into existence? We're going to go really deep in this video because you got to realize, yes, thoughts create reality. But where do your thoughts come from? Where did that thought come from? Can a person claim ownership over a thought that pops into their consciousness? Where did that thought come from? When a thought pops into somebody's consciousness, where did that thought come from? Of course, the answer is simple. It came from consciousness. But some people don't see that, and this is where they don't allow themselves to tap into the highest levels of manifestation possible. So you can manifest anything that you want. You really can. You really can manifest whatever it is that you want. But understand that there's deeper forces at play here. There's deeper forces at play in this reality, and you can learn to tap into that. And so what I want you to open yourself up to, which is the second point in this video, is to understand that you can use this intelligence that allowed somebody to have a thought to create that thing that you see, all the things you see around you. You can tap into that. You can, because the thing is, here's the thing that I want you to really get, is that all these things you see in your reality, right? And the insight might have hit you where you're like, oh man, he's actually right. Like all the stuff that I saw was a thought in somebody's mind first. And then to take it a step deeper, it's like, well, where did that thought come from? Like, how did he come up with that thought? Right? And then when you get to that level, it's like, okay, wait a second. The thought that popped up in that person's mind was not even his. He couldn't claim ownership over that thought, or she. Because the thing is, when we receive a thought from the divine, what I'm noticing more and more as I go deeper into this process of life, or you want to call it the awakening process, but life is just an awakening process, really. What I started to see is that actually the thoughts that we get, we don't know where they come from. They come from the divine. But you can consciously tap into the divine and understand that you don't need to take the responsibility of how you're going to manifest something. You can start to get into the perspective of letting the universe actually manifest for you. That's all it is. You don't need to control how your manifestation comes up, what inspires you to take action, when you need to talk to somebody in order to get to the next level of your business or whatever it is that you have to do, just as much as you don't need to control how that thought came in your mind. Because you're thinking, Francis, I have these desires. Those are my desires. Are they really? Did you come up with those desires? Where did those desires come from? Where did those desires come from? Seriously, be honest with yourself here. If we're really honest with ourselves, where do our desires even come from? Seriously. Like, oh, I have this desire to start this business and to start this channel and to do this and this. Where do those come from? Are you conscious that the things that you're passionate about are divinely inspired and the universe is flowing through you, whether you see it or not. Whether a person is conscious of it or not, their thoughts are coming from the divine. Really take that in for a second. Comment down below. My thoughts come from the divine. Comment down below. My thoughts come from the divine. Your thoughts don't come from what we think is me. Your thoughts don't come from what you think is you. It comes from the universal you, and it comes through the vessel that you think you are right now in this moment. And I want you to really keep in mind that when we can let the universe manifest for us, what happens is you're still doing the things you need to do, but it's coming from a space of true faith. True faith in the divine. True faith in who you really are. The infinite consciousness and the infinite intelligence that brings the sun up every morning and brings the sun down, right? And then the moon comes up, and then all that stuff happens in nature. And it happens with or without your input. Do you know? Like, it doesn't matter if you agree, it's just gonna happen. You could disagree with the sun coming up, but it's still gonna come up. You know, it's not like you have a say in this. You don't have a say in this, really. Now, we can use our manipulation powers to do stuff that goes against nature, but what you can do is you can align yourself with the divine. You can align yourself with the consciousness that is flowing through us at all moments, whether we realize it or not. Now, how do we do this? Start to disidentify with your limited sense of self and just open yourself up to the experience that you're not the one doing all of this. I'm not saying that you don't have control. You have free will. Like, you have free will. That's a gift you were given by the divine too. It's the ability to create the life that you really want and make conscious choices in this life. But what I invite you to do is just open yourself up to an experience of letting consciousness flow through you. Like, just give up control. And I wanted to say for a second, it's not about giving up control, but it kind of is. Give your control up to God. Give your control up to the divine. And that sounds super what I've noticed is that either you're really gonna resonate with that, or you're just gonna be like, kind of in the middle, or you're just gonna be like, nope, too esoteric. Whichever spectrum you land in out of those three categories, I invite you to open yourself up to not the idea, maybe it starts off as an idea, but to an experience of the consciousness that is within you, and you can't separate yourself from the consciousness. Open yourself up that it's flowing through you. When you're talking in a conversation with somebody, right? This video right now, what do you think's flowing through me? It's just happening. It's not like I want you to open yourself up to the idea that whatever, again, it starts off as an idea, but allow it to be an experience that literally you are not in control here, that there's a deeper force. And don't let this disempower you. This isn't disempowering, because you still have free will, you still have control. It's like, Francis, well, how can I still have control but also surrender control? It could be a little bit of both depending on where you're at in your life. But anyways, I don't want to go too deep into this second point, because we got to move on. But I want you to open yourself up to the experience, because this is the second step of literally just open yourself up to the experience that when you're doing something in your life, just allow the flow to take you over. And it's like, Francis, how do I do that? How do I allow the flow to take me over? Like, what does that even mean? It's a non-logical thing. It's a non-logical thing. Allow it to just flow through you. Maybe, by the way, this is easier to tap into when you're usually doing something that you're passionate about, right? So if you have some kind of art or some kind of creation that you love to create or something that you love to do, try to see how deep you can get into the flow state. This is about being super present to the moment and not allowing the logical part of your mind to take over. That's all it is. It sounds complicated, but the more that you think about it, the more that it takes you out of what it is that I'm trying to talk about. And I want you to understand that you can trust in that consciousness. So the moment that you set an intention and you have a vision for something and you really would like to see it happen, I want you to really have a deep trust in that consciousness. And if you're really confused on this topic, the next question I want to ask you is going to open yourself up to the possibility that you can create your reality by allowing consciousness to flow through you. The question is, rather than thinking of yourself as a separate sense of self, I want you to ask yourself, what does so rather than thinking of yourself as, oh, I am this person creating my reality, oh, I am this separate sense of self creating this, I want you to ask yourself this question: what does the universe / consciousness want to create through me? That's a question I wrote down. What does the universe / consciousness want to create through me? Because consciousness is always trying to expand to new levels. It's always trying to get to something new. But then what happens is that we actually take the responsibility for consciousness wanting to evolve. When a consciousness is just going to be flowing to the next level either way, and all you have to do is allow it to flow through. When Eckhart Tolle was writing The Power of Now, he said that it's almost like he just had this just like something take over. He's like, I need to write this book called The Power of Now. I need to write this. And then at some point he says, oh, I need to, he was living in some country and he's like, I just need to move. He felt this need to move. When I was living with my mom, I felt this need to just, like, I just had to move. And I felt really, really called to just step into a new space, right? And when you have these insights, what do you think's going on here? Yeah, sure, it's you taking responsibility for your life, but it's also from a meta perspective. We're going ultimate meta here. Again, this is not to disregard the humanness of who you are, because the consciousness is working through the human, but it's to see from a larger perspective what's really happening here, what's really going on here. So ask yourself, what does the universe / consciousness want to create through me? Like, it's pretty obvious. When you ask yourself that question, it's like, oh, it's so obvious. Consciousness wants me to create music or to record it. Like, it's pretty obvious. When you ask yourself that question and you become really honest with yourself and you stop lying to yourself and you're just honest with whatever it is that you're resisting in your life, it's like, oh, so obvious. The whole time, this is what I wanted, what consciousness wanted to do. But my limited sense of self was blocking it from being a reality. Like, it just becomes so obvious. Like, it's just so obvious to me that when I'm doing something this is just what it is in the moment. It's just so obvious. Well, how else could it be? And the mind is going to want to figure it out and like, oh, like let all that go. Make the process simple. Ask yourself that question for a couple days and see what comes up. Maybe it'll be a feeling in your body. Maybe it's a thought that will come up. Maybe just this nudge to go call up a friend. You don't know. Explore the possibility that the universe is always communicating to you. Maybe you'll see more synchronicity. Maybe you'll get an intuitive nudge to take action on a project. Maybe you'll start to get a random download of thoughts being like, oh my gosh, like, I actually have more say in this than I thought. Again, it's not to disempower you. You have all the say you want. The divine might give you boom, boom, boom. Here's 7 options. Which one do you want to go for? It's up to you. But the divine might inspire you to be like, oh, I actually want to go for this one. And once you realize that, who realized that? Who was the one that realized that, oh, out of those 7 options, that's the one that feels right? It's the divine, right? So what I want you to realize is that this universal intelligence is something that is so powerful. And I think the biggest problem and the biggest pitfall that people have is they believe that if they give up their control, that they're going to feel disempowered and they're going to suffer more. But it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Let me ask you this. How exhausting is it to continually force everything in your life? Does that ever get exhausting? To force everything? To overthink? To be controlling everything? All the burdens on you because you have to take responsibility for everything? Yes, take responsibility for your life. Empower yourself. But at some point, you got to be honest with yourself and say, I can't control everything. At least I, as the limited sense of self. This limited human body can't control everything, but it can tap into the source of consciousness that is connected with everything. Right? You can't control everything, but in a way you can when you tap into the source of what you are. When you stop identifying with the limited sense of self that you are, then you begin to start, quote unquote, controlling everything. But who is the one doing it? Who is the one controlling it? Who is the one doing the action? Even if you're doing and you're taking action, who is the one doing it? Is it hard? If it's hard, who is the one resisting? You'll notice that not only do you not feel disempowered when you can allow the universal consciousness to flow through you, but actually it is the complete and utter opposite. You feel so empowered because you as the human are pretty much doing all you can to create the life that you want, and you're just allowing the faith in who you truly are to do the rest for you. And that is the key to let consciousness manifest for you. The way that you use consciousness to manifest your reality is simple. Know what you want. Set the intention that you're going to get it. How do you do that? Just know what you want. Simple. Trust in the divine that everything that comes through you from that moment that you go after that thing you want to create is the divine flowing through you. Even the part of you that says, Francis, I don't get this. This is confusing. You're going to be confused sometimes. You're going to be unsure sometimes. You're not going to know what's happening sometimes. Things are going to be, you're not going to understand what's happening. You're going to be lost. But all of that is the divine flowing through you. And then oftentimes what happens in my life personally is when I move through confusion and then I look at all of the stuff that happened a couple months later, I'm just like, oh, that's what the universe was trying to teach me. Now, really, I'm just teaching myself. But it's like you can start to see that everything that you set an intention for is happening for a reason. If you can pass the test, check out my last video talking about how to pass the test that most people fail when it comes to manifesting their reality. Click the video right there if you want to check it out. So understand that you don't need to take the responsibility of how to manifest in your life. You can leave it up to the universal intelligence that is within you. Become more present to the moment. The last thing I'll share with you, if you're still confused on this, is that this is not a logical thing. The only thing blocking you from letting the divine flow through you to create everything you want to create and everything you can't even imagine you want to create, because the divine already knows. The only thing stopping you from creating this and allowing the divine to create for you and have the insights that you want to manifest something that you haven't manifested yet, the only thing is building up the suspense is your logical mind. Okay, I had to build up the suspense there. I love doing that. It's your logical mind. That's all it is. And you think, wait, Francis, you're confusing me because what isn't the insights that I want to receive something my logical mind? Yes, but sometimes the previous thoughts that we have and that we've been conditioned can block us from new divine insights from coming in. You don't have to force a thought to come in to manifest for you. All you have to do is let go of your logic, and you'll see that the thoughts that, at least you'll see that the thoughts will just come. They'll just come. This is what it means to let consciousness manifest anything you want. It's to let consciousness bring up the thought. It's to let consciousness bring up whatever it needs to bring up to allow you to create what you want. Now again, if that's confusing you, I want to ask, I'll leave you with the final question to go back to what we talked about earlier, if this is confusing some people. When the person, you see all the things you created in your life, you see all the things that people created, like in your room there's all these items, all these different things that people have created, and you agree, and some people will understand, okay, yeah, all of that started with a thought. Yes, it all did start with a thought. But I'm gonna re-ask this question one final time just to conclude this video. And the question is, where did those thoughts come from? Seriously, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about where the thought originally came from. When somebody had a divinely inspired thought that maybe they didn't even see was divinely inspired, and then they started to manifest that thought into existence after initially having it, like, oh, there's all these things you see in your life, all these things that are popular, like, oh, there's popular companies, whatever it is, anything in your life that you see materially in existence, start off with a thought. Where did those thoughts come from? The person. How did the person get the thought? How did the person receive the thought? Where is that thought located? Where did that thought come from? These are the questions you want to ask yourself. This is the questioning process that is going to bring you closer to tapping into the divine. So I want you to think about that question, and that's all I have for you today. So once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation. Also, I do have a group program coming up in less than 60 days. Enrollment is closing soon. There's limited spots available. So if you want to be part of the program, and if you want more details on the program, the link will be in the description box of this video. As always, have yourself a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.